tiempo aquí esperando y les quiero decir que vamos a empezar con las fotografías. Únicamente les pido que le demos chance al equipo de Netflix 5 minutos para que tomen fotos. Después seguimos entonces con las fotografías acá atrás. Les pido por favor a los compañeros que están sentados que no se vayan a poner de pie y que no suban el celular o la mano para que no interfieran con las fotografías que van a tomar acá atrás. Una vez que terminemos con esas fotos les vamos a pedir que se retiren y bueno, pues iniciamos entonces con la charla y la sesión de preguntas y respuestas. Así que bueno, damas y caballeros, pues tenemos el gusto de que el día de hoy nos acompañe este elenco maravilloso que le da vida a los personajes, que quizá vivan en un futuro posible, pero que tienen muchos problemas con los que estoy segura que todos nos vamos a identificar. Así que por favor, démosle la bienvenida a la mente detrás de este proyecto, el director Peyton. Bueno, está también con nosotros el maravilloso Simu Liu. Hola, Simu. Y por supuesto la icónica Jennifer López. Pues si quieren... me pongo yo.
Aguántenme plazas atrás, por favor, ya les damos un chance. Gracias.
¿Qué?
No, for the rest of the photographers, guys. We're looking to your right, guys. Now to the center. Now to your left.
Siempre es lo mismo con él.
Gracias, chicos. Gracias, chicos. Thank you, guys. We're gonna have your...
If you guys want to join me over here, Jennifer. Okay. If you want to join me over here while they set their tables and their chairs.
Jennifer, por favor, repite. Más repetir. No le puedes gritar como si fuera como si fuera la de la esquina.
I like those friendship bracelets.
They're from my...
Oh, nice. From here? From yesterday? Nice. What did they say? Okay. Are you into Taylor Swift? So I guess, yeah, I think, Jennifer, you go right there where you are, yeah? Okay. And I think, Brad, you go over here. And then Simu next to Jennifer, please. Thank you. Compañeros fotógrafos, los que siguen por acá, les voy a pedir que se agachen para que no salgan en el video, por favor. Gracias. Pues bueno, hi. Well, no. So nice to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Have you been enjoying your visit?
Too much. I've been enjoying. Mexico knows how to party. I can't lie. They have a lot of good food and good wine, and
it's all a big party.
No sleep, and good time.
Yeah, nice to have you here. So I guess we have some questions from the press, and I'm going to be making those questions for you guys. We're going to start with Argentina. This question comes from Argentina. Cinefan Girls, Argentina, Mariquela Calvo Ford, pregunta que mandó online, y this question is for Jennifer López. In Atlas, you portray a cunning and formidable woman. Which iconic female characters from science fiction films inspired your creation of this role?
I mean, I think there was two very specific ones, and actually one of them I remember, and I didn't think about it when I was doing Atlas, but Terminator 2 with Linda Hamilton. I don't know if you guys remember that film, but for me, she was the baddest of the baddest bitches ever. You know what I mean? Like, I just remember being in the theater, watching it in New York, like, oh my God, I want to be her so bad. I'm going to be an actress, and that's what I'm going to do. And I didn't really ever get to do it when I was younger, and so now to be able to do something like it, it's not exactly that, but that type of character. The other character that I really loved and that Brad and I spoke about very much while we were filming was Ripley in Alien. Sigourney Weaver. So those two for me were the most iconic kind of sci-fi action movie characters that...
One of the reasons why I love Cameron, right, is Aliens, where he works with Sigourney, and then Hamilton and Terminator, and the tone that he makes and how awesome he makes female badass women. You're just like, that guy's the greatest at doing this. And so yeah, those are the two excellent touchstones.
What about you, Simu? Did you get inspiration from any science fiction characters?
Yeah, I mean, playing Harlan as an artificial intelligence, I think there's a lot of blueprints out there. I think starting from Kubrick in 2001, even like the voice of Hal, who is so kind of even-keeled and chilling. And then, I was a huge Star Trek fan growing up, so I loved Brent Spiner as Data. I thought was phenomenal, and so I just tried to take, although those are all kind of friendly AIs, but I tried to take that voice and that kind of friendly disposition and kind of warp it in a way to make it unsettling and a little terrifying.
Tone is the thing that is kind of scary.
That and the blue eyes, because I don't know if people know this, but Simu had contacts on the whole time, and he only told me after like 2 days, he's like, I can't really see you, Brad. And I was like, oh, so that's why you're staring through me.
So intense, I was just like...
He's just staring through everybody.
On set every day, like... and they were like, oh, that's good, keep doing it. And I was like, okay.
Bueno, la pregunta era que en qué personajes se habían inspirado para sus papeles, personajes de ciencia ficción. Y Jennifer dice que se inspiró mucho en Sarah Connor de Terminator 2. Y también es el personaje de Sigourney Weaver en Alien, que fue algo que platicaron también con Brad, el director, como que estuvieron ambos de acuerdo en que estos, ¿no? Que son maravillosos los personajes superdadas, personajes femeninos. Y Simu dice que es muy fan de Star Trek, entonces se fue mucho por allá, y también habló de Odisea en el espacio. Fueron como que, aunque son inteligencia artificial buena onda y su personaje no es tan buena onda, pero bueno, que tomó inspiración de por allá. La siguiente pregunta viene de Editorial Televisa. Euridice Garavito García pregunta para Jennifer López. What challenges does humanity face regarding artificial intelligence? What aspects of new technologies do you find most surprising?
I mean, technology is advancing all the time, and obviously there's a lot of it that makes me nervous. I mean, when you think about artificial intelligence, and even this movie itself kind of does a good job of showing both sides of the story, which is kind of what can go really, really right with AI and how we can really use them to be a greater version of ourselves in a way, and then how it can go really, really wrong with like Simu's character, where they can destroy and take over and kind of obliterate humanity. So I think right now, for me, when I think about it, it's a big question, right? There's an idea of like we have to have a lot of respect when it comes to artificial intelligence. It's just like any technology. I remember in the music business when the internet came around and everybody was like, oh, it's never gonna take over music. And And it was like, okay, well that happened. And so you just have to really be open to the fact that there's gonna be changes all the time, and not changes that some people can predict, and some people just can't foresee because we get so stuck in our own reality. But yeah, I think it's about respecting it and not letting it kind of take over in any way, but using it to aid us in the best ways that it can.
It's all about balance. Bueno, tenemos una pregunta de Brasil. Fan Influencia es de Diogo Cunha. Y the question's for Jennifer López. With an impressive career and numerous films to your credit, do you still experience those famous butterflies in your stomach when working on projects like the new Netflix film, Atlas?
I have butterflies right now. I always have butterflies. I don't think, it ever gets old to me, no matter how long I've been in this business. I always feel the excitement of doing what I do and being able to be blessed to do what I do. For me, it is a huge, privilege to be able to find something so young that I was so passionate about in entertaining and performing and singing and dancing and acting and producing, and be able to be doing that my whole life. And so, yes, I still get butterflies. I'm more at home, actually, believe it or not, on stage in front of, 30,000 people than I am in a room like this. You know what I mean? I'm more at home in, on the set, in a little 2x2 with a green screen behind me and make-believing I'm falling through the planets.
I can attest to that.
Acting crazy and, have my adrenaline at 100 and really acting and, just putting myself in another realm. I feel very comfortable in those situations, I guess because I've been doing it a long time.
I think it shows. I mean, I think we were remember on our content day when we were reviewing your Super Bowl footage, and I was just like, you're one of the best to ever do it. Period.
What about you, Simu? Do you still get those butterflies?
Yeah, I feel really at home when I'm on stage in front of the Super Bowl, 75,000 fans, yeah. I think what Jen said really rings true. I think, I think the butterflies never really go away, but I think we as artists, and certainly as performers, I think find a way to be excited by the butterflies and to use that kind of nervous energy, and to embrace it in a way. I think some of the greatest actors I've ever known and ones I look up to experience terrible stage fright and nervousness and anxiety, and it's not the lack of those things that allows them to be great. It's that they accept it and then they embrace it and then they work through it, which I think is pretty incredible.
And what happens as a director? Do you still get butterflies?
Yeah, yes, I came from animation. I sit in a room by myself and draw pictures. That's like my background. So when you go to a set and there's 400 people that want your opinion, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but just to add on to what they said, generally I think those butterflies are because you care so much, right? Like if you didn't have that, something would be wrong. Like you need to have that. It means you've invested so much, you care so much, and it's sort of like your body's preparation to like pour your heart out into something, I think is what happens. But one of the things that both of them said that is 100% true is the sooner you can get into the flow state, the better. The more at home you are, like as a creative who wakes up every day and all I want to do is create, like literally, you can ask my girlfriend, I drive her crazy. I would wake up and I just want to go make something. And when you get in that flow state,
you can make her breakfast in bed.
Dude, I don't want to poison her. I am not good at cooking. I'll do everything.
You can make her a cup of coffee.
There you go. I do that. But like once you get in that flow state, it's like that's what you live for, being that creator and being in that creative state. And so, yeah, once you get in that space, you never want to leave it. It's so addicting. You're like, this is what I was built to do. I love doing this.
So I think if you don't get the butterflies, maybe that means you're AI or a robot. You should check. Tenemos ahora una pregunta de Brasil, de Estación Nerd. Icaro Rodríguez pregunta para Simu.
Whoa, really?
Yes, you have your own question.
That for me?
Para Simu, from Brazil. What is it like to work with Jennifer López, who is often regarded as the premier action actress of our century?
It's amazing. The question was, what is it like to work with Jennifer Lopez, one of the most iconic performers of our generation and of all time?
I'm sorry.
It was great. You know, I remember one of the first days I showed up to set, and you know, my part in the movie, you know, as a villain, you know, I come in a little bit later, but I come to set and I'm like, hey Jen, how are you? You know, she was so like, she just seemed like such a trooper in that little canopy where she and Smith resided for so much of the movie, you know, and I was like, hey, how's it going? She's like, I've been here for 6 weeks. How are you? And I'm like, well, I have no right to complain. I mean, no, it was awesome. It was awesome. It was inspirational. I definitely had butterflies, you know, showing up to set, knowing that I was gonna have to work with her. In my mind, she's always made in Manhattan, Jen, so it was tough for me to get into the mindset of trying to kill her. It was very not what I would say would be my natural state, but it was incredible. It was incredible, and I've so appreciated getting to know her better over the course of even promoting this movie as well.
It's been so fun. Thank you.
In my mind, you were dancing to Fiona Apple in Hustlers.
Right now?
Permanently.
Okay.
I go out of sight. I'm out of sight, Jennifer.
Are you out of sight? Made in Manhattan Hustlers. Got it.
Yes.
Maybe sprinkling of the cell. I love the cell too.
So there's a question for you, Brad, as well.
Wait, what's it like working with Jennifer Lopez?
With Jennifer Lopez. Your filmography reveals a strong focus on exploring nature. What inspired the shift to create a film centered around artificial intelligence?
I do love nature. I'm an avid hiker. I hike probably 2 or 3 times a week, so that just grounds me. I like being out and with just my thoughts, and a lot of rumination happens for me in that. I grew up on a highway outside of a town. Like, I didn't even have neighbors as a kid, so that's just like my natural state, I guess. But in all honesty, I didn't set out to make a movie about AI. What attracted me to this, besides working with Jen and Simu and Sterling, who couldn't be here today, was the theme of trust. I believe most of our meaningful relationships in our lives are built off respect and trust. And I think you can earn someone's respect relatively easily, but trust is something that I've found difficult to earn with people, and also to have them earn from me. And so I was fascinated with this idea of this woman who just didn't trust. And for valid reasons. She has a childhood trauma she has to overcome. But that's what pulled me in. The complexity of it, the fact that she had been sort of, you know, abused by this AI and then was stuck in a machine that was run by AI. The irony of that made me smile when I read the concept. I was like, oh, that's really neat. And as a genre fan, and you can go all the way back to like James Whale in the 1920s, or like Creature from the Black Lagoon or King Kong. These are all genre films that are talking about things that were faux pas. You weren't allowed to talk about interracial relationships. You weren't allowed to have those conversations. So for me, using genre to dress up a movie about something that's like very heartfelt, very human, like our ability to trust and what we have to go through to trust, that's what I think makes great genre. So I can have explosions, and I can have alien ships, and I can have giant mech suits, but there's a super human element and theme in the movie, and that's really what pulled me in.
I like that.
You're welcome. Long-winded, but whatever.
So we have a question from Nueva Mujer, Karen Hernandez. She's right here, I think. And the question is for Jennifer Lopez. This film blends science fiction and action with a deep emotional core. How do you tap into Atlas' emotions and motivations to bring her character to life?
I mean, it's just like with anything when you're approaching it as an actress, you know, you try to find the similarities to things that you have, you know, gone through in your own life, but also kind of your imagination, especially in a movie like this where there's tons of green screen, your imagination has to kind of run wild. And that's a big part of being an actor. And I think with Atlas, there was parts of her that were very similar to me. She's driven, she's strong, she's focused, she's passionate. And then there was parts of her that were very different from me. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and she was very closed off and didn't want to let anybody in. And it was just, for me, preparing for that and doing that, it was something that was very easy for me to kind of draw from my own life in a way. different relationships and different things that I've been through, for sure.
One of the things too I've mentioned to people, like, you have a lot of great virtues, but courage is probably the one that stood out for me, in the sense that, like, you were put inside of a mech suit by yourself for like 6 or 7 weeks, and a lot of actors or actresses would not be comfortable in that situation. But because you go out in front of stadiums of people as the lead, it's sort of like prepared you for a role like that, where you could just step out there and be like, okay, I can do this.
It's like it was like being on stage and doing a one-woman show for 6 or 7 weeks. It was a strange experience. I think a lot of actors would tell you that you know, doing that kind of role where you're by yourself and having to imagine all that stuff is a challenging thing.
It actually has to do with the next question from El Comercio, Peru, Carla Magdalena Ocaña Ojeda. She's asking you, Jennifer, how challenging was it to perform in scenes where you were the sole visible character interacting only with the AI?
Yeah, I remember, like, somebody was saying that Jodie Foster, when she did Contact, said that was the hardest acting that she ever had to do, because she just had to do it by herself and she had to use her whole imagination, and that's just what it was. And I remember thinking, when I read the script, oh, esto va a ser muy fácil. This is gonna be an easy job for me. It's gonna be me by myself. I'm gonna, you know, I don't have to wait for anybody. I can show up, do my thing, couple of takes, go home. And it was so exhausting to kind of stay at this level of adrenaline of, like, your life is over, you have to save the planet, you're in a life and death situation the whole entire time, that at the end of the day, I would just be so exhausted, not just emotionally, but physically, like, from just like tensing up my body and throwing myself this way and that way and doing all these things and trying to concentrate and seeing things that weren't there and all these kinds of stuff. So yeah, I would walk home every day with what I would call the tired limp, which is, you know, you're limping. Usually you limp because you're hurt, but when you limp because you're tired, you're kind of like just a limp from being exhausted. That's how I walk to my trailer every single night. So I
feel so bad right now.
It was exhausting, but it was also exhilarating in a lot of ways, because it was a new type of thing that I had never done.
Simu, I have a question for you. This is my question. I want to know not the differences, but the similarities in playing a doll and AI. Are there any? I mean, you can talk about the differences as well if you'd like.
Well, one. Yeah, one.
You have to be so cute.
I don't remember Ken wanting to see the world.
One kind of surfs and does beach all day, and then at night does we party and we have choreographed dance sequences.
So fun.
And the other one is trying to obliterate humanity. So
Right, yeah.
that's kind of tough to find similarities, I guess.
Because you're bringing to life both inanimate.
Neither of them have genitals. I did it. I found a similarity.
Thank you.
You're a genius.
No, ¿cómo dice genitals?
Genitales.
Ninguno
Genitales.
Ken y Harlan no tiene genitales.
Sí, se lo estaban preguntando. Ahora lo sabemos. Gracias, Simu.
De nada.
So we got a question from Milenio here in Mexico, Rosa Solano. Jennifer, in the film, your character distrusts artificial intelligence and has to work alongside it on a special mission. In real life, how much do you trust new technologies and how do you incorporate them into your daily activities? And I'm just going to go ahead and ask all of you guys the same question.
I zoned out because the question was for Jen. What was the question?
It's like, how do we use technology in our everyday lives, and how do we embrace it?
And if you guys trust new technologies.
And do we trust it?
I'm not like a super technical guy, actually. I mean, everyone thinks, like, because I do lots of visual effects and explosions and stuff, I am, but I'm not. I'm actually more of like a pencil and light board, and like I come from animation, so.
Do you talk to your devices?
No,
No,
I don't.
I don't talk to my devices at all.
So weird.
No.
People turn on the lights, you know, it's kind of weird.
Do you guys use
People
like,
love it though.
GPT for anything?
No.
I don't.
Yeah, I've started using ChatGPT to come up with travel itineraries for me. Like if I'm going somewhere, I'll be like, give me like a 3-day itinerary of Palermo, Italy, or like, you know, Mexico City, 3 days. What would I do? And GPT will like tell you. You know, you can say.
Tell me where the best places to shop and all that.
Yes, as long as it's before 2022 or wherever GPT goes up to. But it will. You can say, this is where I'm staying. Find me an itinerary where like I'm not bouncing around the city, like where everything kind of makes sense, everything flows, and it'll spit something out.
Amazing.
Terrifying, but.
So you do trust them?
I don't think I trust. Yeah, I'm not like divulging my deepest, darkest secrets, but I think we're on the precipice of like quite a revolutionary moment when it comes to AI. You know, I think we all feel it. I think a lot of us in the entertainment industry feel it. A lot of us in the arts feel it, and yeah, I think scary is a great word, and I think it's imperative to me that we keep in mind humanity always comes first, and that decision making should always. I think Harlan is the perfect example of why AI should never be used for decision making. We should never let algorithms and data be the decision-making leaders. I mean, we should use those things to enhance and to as tools and to inform, exactly, but never to lead. You know, I don't want to work in an industry where every single creative decision is made by data or an algorithm. I want these decisions to be made by passion and human emotion. You know, there's a filmmaker who loves to tell a story. This is the story they want to tell. Like that's the movie that we should make. And if the story is true and the emotionality is there and the character is good, then people will watch it. Those things can't be quantified by data.
I had an interesting experience because I worked with a couple of futurists before we made the movie, and it was to do everything like talk about like weapon systems, propulsion systems, ecology. Like I didn't want to show Los Angeles in the beginning of the movie like you'd seen it like with Mad Max or something where it's all sand dunes. Like I wanted to try to figure out what would really happen in probably about 100 years, and that's why you see these giant arrays for solar power in our version of Los Angeles. And he had a really interesting thing that he said to me about AI, and it sort of was my true north for making the movie, and it was very much in line with what I wanted to do intuitively, which was, he said, AI is a tool. It's like a hammer. A hammer can do a lot of harm, and a hammer can do a lot of good. You know, like you could build a house with a hammer and save lives. And when he said that to me, I realized that's exactly what I want to do. I want to show that AI is something that's basically here today now, but it doesn't excuse us people from being responsible. We are responsible entities of it. It is a tool. We have to take ourselves in full responsibility of how we use it. And this movie shows that. It shows the full good of it and how humanity can grow and expand and go way beyond itself. And then it shows how nasty Simu can be and try to kill everybody.
Please don't kill us.
Well, I promise.
So we have another question from Argentina, Magela Muso. This question's for you, Brad. At a time when there is widespread discussion about the negative impacts of AI, what message do you hope to convey to audiences about how we use technology and AI? Additionally, which film had the most influence on you while making this movie?
I feel like I just covered the AI part of it, right? The biggest influence, so, you know, I've said this and it's I mean, there's a lot. When you go in and you're a big fan of science fiction, there's a lot of movies that you grew up on, like some really abstract ones that people will never have heard of, like Robot Jocks. You'd have to be a real nerd like me to know what that is. But for me, the biggest influence is actually a filmmaker, and it's James Cameron. I saw Terminator 2 when I was 13, and I went to Subway and bought the cup that had the Terminator. Like it was a big deal. Like that was a huge movie. That might have been the movie of that summer, you know. And after I saw the movie, I lived in a small town, 9,000 people, called Gander, Newfoundland. It's where all the planes landed during 9/11. That's the only reason people know where it is at all. And after that movie, I realized James Cameron was Canadian. And that was the moment, as a kid, I was like, oh, you could come from Canada and go to Hollywood and be a filmmaker. And before that moment, I had no idea that was possible. You know, when you grow up and your mom's a nurse and your dad owns a flower nursery and there's 9,000 people and you live on a highway, you don't think, oh, I can go do that, you know? But when I saw that movie, I thought, oh, I maybe I could do that one day. That part of it touched me as a person in a way, and I just locked onto that. And his movies have been so inspiring for me, from Aliens to Terminator 2, and then, you know, he goes and makes Titanic and Avatar. But I would say James Cameron's work in general has been the biggest influence. Specifically, I'd say Aliens. Like when I got to shoot Harlan's Lair at the end of this movie, I was so happy because it vibed like Aliens. I was like, this is amazing. This is my dream come true. So yeah.
I watched Terminator 2 like 70 times, I'm not even kidding, but that's a conversation for another day. We only have time for one more question, and this is for you, Jennifer. We are in a crucial moment for women, and Atlas is a heroine that we all would like to be. In what way do you think Atlas represents the current women who are saving the world?
How do I think Atlas represents women saving the world? I mean, I feel like we've been saving the world from the beginning of time. Women, you know, I think Atlas is a great character. I think because of all of the toughness that she shows initially and all of the kind of fearlessness about going against, you know, kind of the powers that be, which is what you have to be a woman. That's what it is to be a woman. You have to kind of go against the grain. You have to fight harder. You have to do these things. But also for her tremendous vulnerability and her tremendous kind of pain that she carries. I feel that as women, that is a big part of our journey as well. And she represents both sides of that in a really beautiful way, I think. And where she gets to at the end, you know, having started where she started, and then Smith kind of chipping away at her, getting inside that hard exterior that she's had to have her whole life, because everybody thinks she's crazy, nobody wants to listen to her. This is like experience that women have all the time. You know, she's criticized,
There's a lot of men in this movie that don't believe you.
That don't believe her. You know, and I can understand and relate to that, and I know a lot of other women can too, especially in my own business, you know. You're criticized, you're put down, you're laughed at when you don't, you know, succeed, and then when you succeed, they want to tear it down. You know, there's always this thing as a woman, and especially as a Latina, to kind of in this business, to be taken seriously, to, you know, be working at the highest echelons of your industry, and what that comes with. And I think Atlas really represents all of the greatest parts of women, their vulnerability and their strength and courage.
Well said, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simu. ¿Qué te pasa?
Is real, your divorce, Ben Affleck is real.
Okay, we're not doing that. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You know better than that.
Come on, don't come in here with that energy, please. Thank you so much.
Gracias, muchas gracias a todos. Llegamos ya al final de la conferencia de prensa. No olviden, por favor,
You know what doesn't, I feel like, actually get mentioned enough, if I could just end on one thing, is that Jen is a producer on this movie. And the reason why I'm here and the reason why Sterling was in this beautiful movie is because Jen cares. And Jen cares about things like representation and diversity. And she's a boss. And she's an incredible creative and an icon, and that's what I think we should celebrate her for today.
Gracias. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias a Brad Peyton, muchas gracias a Simu Liu y también a Jennifer López, por supuesto. Gracias. Recuerden que este 24 de mayo estrena Atlas en Netflix. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you guys. Gracias. Nadie me preguntó nada en español, pero ok. Gracias.